folks. We're here with Aristo, and we're going to record another video. I've already been up for a good while because I woke up too early and couldn't get back to sleep. But anyway, Aristo has thrown a couple of ideas out, and I'm just going to let him introduce what he's going to talk about, and we'll see where everything goes today.
Today, my friends, I am going to, let's get it formalized a little bit. I am going to talk about the political situation, the geopolitical situation of the world. People like to hear about these things, but from my perspective, of course. And I'm going to turn it around into a kind of, a deeper level, because we need the drama in order to inform us. And we need the drama because the drama is also symbolic. It is literal the way they present it, but there's a symbolism involved because the drama is manipulative. The drama comes from parasites. The parasites are orchestrating a certain problem, reaction, solution in the world. We know this.
As David Icke says.
As David Icke, as other people, way back. Well, some years ago, if you all notice the difference in alternative media, for example, right now there's a shitload of confusion. There was a little more clarity a few years ago. There was a little more, maybe a dose of hopium. I don't know. Maybe that's what it was. But you didn't have, when somebody came up and said, well, I am a whistleblower, or I'm a this, I'm a that, you took them at face value. You believed them, and you actually absorbed what they had to say, for the most part. If you were into, the whole alternative media thing, if you were awakened, so to speak, if your eyes were open, so to speak. Prior to that, people didn't, conspiracy, tinfoil hats, and all of this. Now we're seeing so much confusion, so much deception, so much fake news calling something else fake news, and everything just completely, you don't know which way is up. And that's a psy-op, by the way, and it's a very effective one. And I think we should have expected that psy-op. But now we're back to almost wanting to crawl into the anti-conspiracy camp. Or we just want to shut down or shut off, or we can't take it anymore. This is where I have been advising that, look, this is why people engage in spiritual process. This is why they engage in meditation, yoga, mindfulness, anything, qigong, things like this, to keep their body-mind stable in the face of these currents of insanity. Basically, you create an axis of stability. And even your belief system, you have a core religious belief system, even that can help you. That's why they want to destroy the religions. It's really funny because we all point out that the religions suck, but then the establishment wants to destroy the religions to put a new ideology in their place. Because no matter what you might say about the religion, they keep you into an axis of belief and perception. It may be fucked up, but at least it's not what they want at this time. Just because, the very fact that it resists them, makes it useful because it's already there. This is why I don't criticize Ron's belief system, for example, even though it may get him into trouble, in my honest opinion, on occasion. It may lead him, I speak in the third person too, but, because we're all here listening, whoever's here. And, but it may lead him, or whoever believes in such things, literally or metaphorically or whatever, because every belief system has its limitations. It may lead you to be painted into a corner. So some flexibility may be required. But the thing is, that's far better than being completely like a blank slate, in a way that you're so receptive and suggestible that the new paradigm is programmed into you, whether you like it or not. So we're viewing a situation right now in the world from a psycho-spiritual perspective. That's the perspective I'd like to address, because this is a perspective of causality. If you want to approach things in terms of the normal, physical, linear cause and effect stuff, the chessboard zone, the stuff that we deem rational, and commonsensical, then you are playing according to you're on the same playing field as the establishment, and so you are bound to lose in that playing field, and you will lose in a way where your psyche is going to be pounded in first. Before they get your body, they're going to get your mind. They're going to get your spirit. They need to break you. They need to break you in a way where you don't even realize you're broken or cracked. You know you're broken when you start reaching for false hope or anything that comes to mind that's hope, because you don't have enough faith in your own capacity to perceive deeper. You don't have enough faith, and I don't mean blind faith. I mean conviction that existence is meaningful, and it's meaningful in and of itself. You know, you don't have to have something transcended to guarantee its meaning, because existence itself is one with whatever is allegedly transcended. You don't separate, let's say, God out there from existence in here, even though you can distinguish them as, you know, different perspectives of the same thing, for example. This is called panentheism. It means that the divine is the world, and all in it are the divine, but it also means that there's a transcendent aspect beyond the world we know. But all of these are one thing, essentially, but that doesn't mean they're a singularity. People like to oversimplify. I said this is a psycho-spiritual perspective. I don't mean I want to get into spiritual doctrine. We're still speaking about the state of the world.
By the way, I wrote down psycho-spiritual perspective as a potential title.
It's good. You know, the only reason I hesitate.
There's a lot of parasites in there too, I know.
Exactly. No, well, not that so much as the fact that people they seem to get desperate and they want a, you know, let's talk about the real situation of the world and what we can do about it. And what I hear when I hear that, or even sense that, is like, just stop the confusion, stop the dissonance, stop the pain. You know, it's like, no, don't shy away from that. When somebody comes at you punching with a psy-op, stand up to them. We are being bullied in the privacy of our own homes, which isn't even private anymore. Our homes are not our own, they're not private. We're spied upon
everywhere. The internet, and actually you don't even need the internet. Your computer doesn't even have to be on.
Exactly. Who knows, you know, yeah.
So they say.
Your TV, you know, and if you start having a smart house, if you end up being one of the lingering middle class that can actually afford to computerize your whole house, not to mention you're carrying this thing called a smartphone that's like a little Fukushima reactor blasting you, you know, constantly blasting in your head. And I just read an article that they want to replace these things. They've been trying to do this for years, but people resist and resist and resist. So now they're pushing. So the next generation is going to do that. We get little 3-year-olds used to playing on the computer, you know, and eventually they won't mind putting a little contact lens that shows them images. So you have people walking down the street talking to themselves with Bluetooths, where in the past it would be considered insanity, somebody talking to themselves. But now it's normal behavior because they're talking to somebody. But then they're going to be seeing things with this thing, so it's going to become normalized that another reality visually is going to be imposed over your regular visual field. So you're not going to be distinguishing between the two. They want to bring that. Why are they doing this? Why don't they just take over? They're so powerful. They're so in it. They have everything. You know, why? Because they are afraid of us, because they have a predictive mechanism that says this isn't going to work in the end. It'll work for so long, but there's going to be a revolution. They want to squash all hope. They're flipped out. They can't stand it anymore. They know that if there is another revolution, it's going to be the last one, because they cannot start a war and create so much devastation that there's nothing to build anymore. You know, that's a game of chicken that they play with us. Okay, so these are parasites. And the thing we need to know about parasites is that a sane parasite needs the organism, the host organism, to be alive, or else there's nothing to feed on. Okay, so the state of the world is victimized by parasites. The world is not a parasite. The earth is not a prison planet. All this is crap. They make you hate the earth. They make you hate your body. They make you hate physicality, and because, you know, it is the domain of suffering, so to speak. So you can just let them have it. So they'll take it. And who are they? Maybe they're not just a bunch of human people, psychopaths. Maybe there's a non-corporeal element involved.
Demons.
You know? Call them demons, but I don't believe in the Christian perspective of demons. This is far different because there's so many, like I said, as an esotericist, there are alternative let's say alternative life forms. non-corporeal life that is not evil. It's just like, you know, the fauna and flora in another context, in an energetic context. You have that in stars, you have that, you know, according in my opinion, of course, in other planets, that it's not things, entities, organic chemical entities walking around. These are energies. These are electromagnetic fields that you know, form sentient patterns, just like molecules do and stuff, but they're self-sustaining. These are what tradition calls fairies or jinn, you know, where you say somebody like David Icke, who I respect his opinions, but whenever he talks about the occult, he just goes off into this realm because he's ignorant. He goes off into these, the evil jinn, the this, you know, as if the only thing he knows is what Christianity has told him about the occult. So you have people abusing things, and then that becomes the point of view. Oh, this is demonic. Well, the church went and engaged in rituals all the time. They practice occultism. The Catholic priests always practice occultism, but they didn't want anybody else to do it. That's about it. It's basically, they don't want you to have private property, but they want to own everything. They don't want you to have anything of empowerment. They want to do it. You know, and you don't have to be a conspiracy theorist. All you have to do is understand human history, human nature. You know, this is part of human nature. The affliction for humans is the conflict between the animal nature and the so-called angelic nature. And you cannot ask a transcendent being to fix this because it's evolution. It needs to be worked because the divine needs to be realized within the system, or else it's going to be puppeted. You can't push buttons. It's not the grand architect. That's Masonic. Masonic means that you are a builder. You are not the building. You know, mystically speaking, a building is not a living being. So if the body is the temple of the soul, the body needs to be alive. It's not a temple. A temple has, you know, you can't have a living temple. It's still something like a shell that you inhabit. You know, your skin is not a shell. It's made of cells. It's made of living organisms. It is alive. It is you. It's your own DNA. Your physical identity and your spiritual identity, as long as you are corporeal, they are one and the same. And even when you're not corporeal, the physical, the energetics of the physical simply shift into another energetic context. You know, call it electromagnetic or whatever. You don't give up anything. It changes consistency. It changes form. You know, and the dense matter goes into the earth, which is an extension of our own being, of our own bodies. We are one with this planet. This planet is our mother. Okay, so our mother is being attacked. Now, the parasites are also human beings, so they are possessed. They're not demons, you know, in themselves. However, there is so much of a corruption that the process of redemption is complicated. Now, okay, I'm getting into deep stuff again, and I can ramble and ramble. So we're talking about the state of the world again. Let's backtrack a little bit. Yesterday was Easter Sunday, and this is the first time in a long time, I guess, that Easter Sunday has, for the Catholics and the Eastern Orthodox, fell on the same day. And that's significant because in a way, the Russian Orthodox tradition and the Western Catholic tradition are on the same page as far as the calendar year is concerned, as far as the equinox dynamic is concerned. For example, you have Christmas, which is a natural holiday because it pertains to the winter solstice. The whole birth of Christ thing is just a few days away from that. But then you have New Year's, which is an artificial holiday because it pertains to a kind of geopolitical way of measuring time. You know, the first day of the year is January 1st, when it should actually be either the spring equinox or the winter solstice. What I'm saying is that now we have the spring equinox and we have Easter, which is another kind of, not quite artificial because it has to do with the full moon and stuff like that. But in any case, there's a synchronization, which means there's a mental synchronization, which means that pay attention to events at this time. They're geared to move you in a certain direction. Now, again, it may seem that I'm jumping from topic to topic. And I kind of do that because I keep thinking, okay, the time is limited. So I need to say as much in a condensed version as possible. These are things to really think about, okay? Listen to every sentence that I'm saying and piece it together with what I'm saying in the next sentence, because there is a tapestry involved. We are synchronized now in our perceptions and our mindsets. We have been primed with events of terror here, war is coming, bombings are happening, blah, blah, blah. We're talking about the Western world here, the people, the viewers, most of the viewers, people who are not like running for their lives at this point, who still have a certain semblance of some kind of security. Now, these people are the ones that must be broken. And they must be broken in a way that nobody can, see that they're being broken, because broken people can also become desperate. And when they realize that there's other broken people around them and they can still put two sentences together, they may start conspiring against the conspiracy. This is what the conspiracy doesn't want us to do. That's why they're spying on us. That's why they sabotage us. That's why, you have infiltrations on computers break down constantly. Like you say, Facebook constantly glitches. I don't even think that they do it with a human factor. I think it's automatic. I mean, they see a certain things being said, the artificial intelligence can easily say, okay, glitch that person, glitch the other person, because they're getting out of line. They're getting out of bounds. And the tolerance of what constitutes out of bounds is getting less and less and less. Because even before, even Alex Jones said that, hey, maybe they're using me to figure out who the alternative types are so they can just, get them out of the woodwork. Maybe they're using social media so people can just come out and know that's David Icke. He's not in some corner plotting against us behind our backs. He's right there in front of us telling us everything. While they all have secret societies. We all have open societies. Disclosure, let's go tell them how we want to resist, So we're actually doing all of them a favor when we're doing it, but that doesn't matter, because the true overcoming of this is beyond that, okay? You cannot, in my honest opinion, simply interpret this through a paradigm that you have been conditioned to believe is real, because that's how you've been raised, because there's been too much social engineering. That's common sense to me. If there is social engineering, how can you use your mindset that's been brainwashed to overcome the brainwashing and the oppressors? It ain't gonna happen. It's been designed to sabotage you, whether it's just a human thing of psychopaths figuring it out, or whether there's a non-corporeal element, which there may be. Reality is far deeper than we know. But look at this. It is now Easter. The spring equinox comes up. And this is a time of increased life force, of vitality in the Northern Hemisphere. And so everybody is poised toward a certain need for action on a level, because farmers, you sow new seeds, and everybody, lovers are more excited, everybody wants to go have picnics, things like that. Everybody wants to feel more alive. It's the winter is over, in the temperate zones of the Northern Hemisphere. So now is the time to scare the shit out of you, because if that happens, it becomes imprinted for the whole year, practically. Certain zones. So there are going to be events that are trying to scare you, like this referendum in Turkey, for example, which essentially is this guy is asking people to vote that he can do whatever he wants. I'm a dictator now. This is what happened in Europe in the 1930s. People came up and said, well, I'm now voting myself dictator. And the only way to save the country is to do this. So you have like the prophecies of Nostradamus, which is a playbook of these people, which says that there's going to be somebody coming out, some antichrist out of the East, moving through Istanbul, coming to Europe, and causing wars. But you got to know that wars are not profitable when the weapons are too intense. So I come back to a different premise again. I'm jumping again. And I'm saying that, look, these people are parasites, but they need their host. However, a parasite reaches a point where it can veer off into two directions. In one direction, the parasite becomes symbiotic. It co-evolves with the host. And just like your gut flora, the bacteria you have in your gut, you need good bacteria. These things basically help your body. You have kilos and kilos of foreign organisms in your body that are actually feeding on you, feeding on the food you eat, However, they give something in return. So the parasite in this case becomes a symbiont. It becomes benign, you know. And in this case, you may have the psychopaths or whatever, you know, enter a certain relationship with society where that can happen. But this means it's not them that need to transform, however, it's us. We're the ones that are the linchpin of the situation, not them. We keep trying to present things in terms of how they define them. They, you know, even the word they, we're conditioned, oh, who's they? You know, only crazy people talk about they. They are really the dark side of us. Psychopaths basically hold certain aspects that nobody else wants to face, and they act them out because that's all they have. And it's all they have because we're not facing them. We're not facing these horrors, these extended feelings. Now we are. They're forcing them upon us. But we're still fighting tooth and nail. We're looking for hopium. We're looking for ways out. We're looking for solutions. We're looking for buttons to press. For what? To go back to a meaningless life? Just live until we die? We keep talking about paradise, but we can't take it because whenever we feel a little too much, we cry to stop. We want to be distracted. You see, if we look at our own mindset, in many ways, we are giving the psychopaths a justification for everything they say about us. Of course, it doesn't mean it's our fault. We are wounded, and this doesn't mean it's their fault, you know, or rather, the fault is everywhere. Fault just means a gap, a crack. You know, the fault is there, the wound is there, but nobody is to blame. That's another thing. We need somebody to blame so we can have an easy solution and get rid of the dissonance. When we cease to understand that pain is there to point to something. Until you realize where the pain is pointing, it's going to keep coming back. If you take a painkiller, it can kill you in the end because you're only suppressing symptoms. This is very, very hard. So the world is going to be in tribulation, but individual by individual, certain individuals, and I'm not talking about mass movements. At this point, I do not believe in mass movements. At this point, I believe that individuals will alter the situation in a way that's not obvious to everybody else because everybody else is looking at reality a certain programmed manner. This is hard to accept, you know. So I'm not saying that, oh, are you offering a solution, you know? No, the thing is that the solution is inside of you. I'm just offering certain perspectives to think about, to be able to open your eyes in a certain direction, to consider, just consider. Because if anyone has a solution that's actually workable in a mechanical sense, in the sense that we are taught is realistic, then they would be wiped off the map. If they have a solution in the way that the establishment cannot perceive, and they can communicate that solution to others, the others are mostly programmed not to perceive it as well. Because if you go away from the programming, then you are going to lose your social status or even your peace of mind, and you are going to be in a constant battle until you are broken or until you get stronger. Those are your two options, in my honest opinion. And this has been happening. We have been given a certain leeway to get stronger, and now the pressure is increasing. And we know all of this. We have been so-called awakened, but our awakening is relative. So the parasites, you know, how do we turn a parasite into a symbiont? Instead of what? What else can it become? It can become a cancer. A cancer doesn't give a shit if you live or die. A cancer will not even jump, you know, because at this point, thinking that the parasites are going to hop off this planet into another one. They really want to convince us that they can do this. Oh, we have fleets of spaceships out there. You know, come on. Or we can go to planet so-and-so, you know, or it's all there and we're all going to go there. Maybe they think they can. If they could at this point, they'd do away with us, really. They really don't like us. They don't want to keep us around. If they had the technology and all of this, they would have done it, you know. And the easiest thing to do is to force a certain portion of the population, abduct them, and stick chips in their head and make them slaves or whatever. In any case, the crazy scenarios like that just don't pan out for me. What does pan out is that they are as much stuck on this planet, so to speak, as we are, and that's a good thing. So if they want to destroy us, so to speak, then they're killing the host. And if they kill the host, they're a cancer. And the cancer is insane. Cancers are actually easier to deal with than parasites. A parasite is either going to be mutated into a symbiont because its relationship with its host improves because the host becomes stronger, becomes more resilient, becomes more perceptive. Epigenetically, it says, I know what I want, and this is not going to be given to this parasite. It's a matter of will. And later on, I'm going to get into, in another talk, maybe into maybe Christian symbolism, the tree of life, the Garden of Eden, just to say about one thing, what exactly was lost during the fall, and that is our true spiritual will, our ability to say, I want this, and make it happen for real, instead of all these compromises and stuff, and do it in a way that's harmonized, in a way that's healthy. So there's a lot of things again, and in these talks, I will always bring a lot of things. I thought we were going to talk about one thing, but then, Ron brings up the state of the world and, this referendum in Turkey, for example, where somebody's coming up and he's actually turned himself into a dictator and doing away with the Constitution for reasons of security. And you notice, well, this happened in the 30s with these other fascists in Europe. And you may notice, if you know the prophecies of Nostradamus, that somebody came up in the East and came through Istanbul and, and caused a war. All of these things are being played out because it's a playbook. It's not a prophecy. It's a problem, reaction, solution playbook. What do? We stand up. We choose our beliefs. We choose out of the spectrum of shit that we can believe in. We figure out what makes sense to us. But at the same time, not in some sense, but that's real and that's realistic and get real, we're fucked. Because what's the point? If we're fucked, then, what's the point of a belief system that's going to kill you? That's going to just have you bend over and take it. That's bullshit, in my opinion. So you need a belief system that is convincing to you, but there's one that's self-generated, that's in your best interest. It doesn't have to be the world revolves around you, self-love. It has to be something that's meaningful and that doesn't get your kids killed or your friends to turn into zombies or the whole world turned into a desolate trash bag. So, I urge all of us to think about these things and not just think with our heads, to think with our hearts. We have a brain right here. We have a brain with our abdomen. Always, always I've urged, feel with the body too. Feel and think and experience and create your belief system. Stand up because you can. Look at the trees. You are standing up, root into the ground, reach up to the sky. It's all yours. This planet is on our side. And the parasites can be a temporary solution and a wake-up call. Their plan doesn't have to be our fate. That's all I wanted to say today, and thanks for bearing with me in this long and tiresome ramble.
Well, thank you, Aristo. By the way, the sun actually started coming up. I mean, I could see the light in the sky even before the official sunrise, but there's a big black cloud over the east there that's sort of blocking it from shining as brightly as it sometimes does. So we have a cloud working with us.
Exactly. See, this can happen. That's part of the message. Don't be afraid of clouds. They don't have to have silver linings. It's all about the context. It's all about the timing and the placing. So even something that seems, a black cloud, may be good for us.
Well, in this case, I'm appreciative of it. It's not shining brightly in my eyes.
Yeah. I didn't see the sun. I was like, where's the sun that's supposed to come up? Usually I can see it on the wall.
It's there. I mean, the sky is very blue right now. It's not dark.
I see.
Anyway, thank you, Aristo, and thank you everybody for listening. And till next time, namaste.
Namaste.